Hello and welcome to session 4 for your functional skills. So in this session, we're going to identify and know the equivalence between fractions, decimals, and percentages. So by the end of this session, you must be able to recognize the equivalency of fractions, decimals, and percentages. Learners should be able to convert fractions to decimals and percentages and convert decimals to percentages. Learners could also aim to convert percentages to fractions and decimals. Learners will be assessed on their ability to understand and use the equivalency of fractions, decimals, and percentages. So let's look at fractions, decimals, and percentages. Fractions, decimals, and percentages are all different ways of representing the same thing. So a fraction is a numerical value which is not a whole number. For example, 1/4, 5/8, 12/5, and 3/2. So a decimal fraction, often shortened to decimals, the fraction is where the denominator is 10, 100, or 1,000, or there is a denominator is the power of 10. So for example, 7/10 is written as 0.7 as a decimal fraction. 29th of 100 is written as 0.29. So a decimal fraction, 3/1,000, is written as 0.003 as a decimal fraction. A percentage of a fraction, so 100%, the percent symbol means out of 100. So for example, 74 over 100th is the same as 74%. Oh. And then 300ths is the same as 3%. So that's nice and easy, that one. So here we need to look at the equivalences between percentage fractions and decimals. And here's the table showing some common fractions that are equivalent to decimals and percentages. So here you can see we've got our fraction, 1/1, 1/1. We've got our decimal 1 and our percentage is 100. We've got a half, 0.550. We've got a quarter at 0.25% and 25. We've got 3/4, which is 75, 0.75, 75%, 1/10, which is 0.110%, 1/5, 0.220%, and a third, 0.333 or 33.3. So converting fractions to decimals then, fractions can easily be converted to decimals. Use a calculator and simply divide the top number by the denominator, the bottom number. For example, convert 3/8 or 3/8 into a decimal. The answer is 3 divided by 8 equals 0.375. Another example, convert 2/9 into a decimal. The answer is 2 divided by 9 equaling 2.9, 0.222222222, and so on. The digit 2 will continue forever. This means it's a recurring decimal. We say this as 0.2 recurring, or a little r. Convert the fractions below to the nearest decimal. So 1/8, so 1 divided by 8 would be 0.125. 7 divided by 10 equals 0.7. A third would be, remember we just did this, 0.333333, and 1/20th is 0.05. 0.05. Fractions can easily be converted to percentages. Percentage means out of 100. If the denominator, the bottom number, is 100, and the numerator, top number, is the percentage value, for example, 23/100 is the same as 23%. If the denominator is not 100, then you need to find the equivalent fraction for which the denominator is 100. For example, 32/50 is exactly the same as 64 over 100. We've multiplied both numbers and the denominator by 2. The fractions are exactly the same. So all we've done is doubled it up to get that 100%. So therefore, it's the same as 64%. So convert the fractions below. So again, we're going to times that by, we're going to double this up, right? So if we double that up, and then we do that by 100, so it's 19 plus 19 is 38. Good. We're going to do 4 by 10. So this time we've got to times that by 10. So 4 times 10 equals 40%. And then 1/5. So a fifth to get 100 would be 20. So because it's 120, it's got to be 20%. So decimals can be simply converted to percentages just by multiplying each decimal by 100. You get the equivalent percentage. So here are some examples. 0.42 is the same as 42%. 0.14 is the same as 14%. And you can see on the right hand side because 0.42 times 100 is 42, because 0.14 times 100 is 14. So convert the decimals below to percentages. So 0.4 would be, so drop in the 0, 40. So 0.35, so just drop the 0, would be 35. And 0.54, just drop the 0 there, would be 54. We can also convert decimals into fractions by first converting the percentage as the above, and then converting the percentage to fractions. We'll look at that next. So percentages can simply be converted to fractions. They are, the percent symbol means out of 100. So we simply convert the percentage into a fraction out of 100 and then simplify it if possible. So for example, 23% is the same as 23 over 100. We can't simplify this any further. 52% is the same as 52 over 100. We can simplify this to 13th 25 by dividing both numbers by 4. Okay, so can you see what we've done there? We've divided that, we've broken that down because we're dividing that in. 35 is this over 100 is the same as 7 over 25. So dividing both numbers gives us a denominator by 5. So let's convert the percentage to the fractions below. So 25% is the same as, so 25 goes into 100 4 times, since it's a quarter. 12.5. So here we've got an eighth, so 12.5 over 100 equals 25 out of 200. Okay, so it's getting a bit more complicated. 90% is 9/10. And then if we convert the decimals below to fractions by first converting to percentages, so that would be 75% there, because 0.75 is 75%. We then do 75% is equals to a fraction of a quarter, 3/4. 0.3 is 30%. So that equals a 1/3. And then 0.15 is 75%. So that's 3/20. Good. So converting percentage to decimals. Percentages can be simplified by converted to decimals. You just divide each percentage by 100 to get the equivalent decimal. Here are some examples. So 42% is the same as 4.2. So we're now just doing back in reverse. That's because 42 divided by 100 is 0.42. 14% is the same as 0.14, because 14 divided by 100 is 0.14. 27.5% is the same as 0.725, sorry, 0.275. That's because 27.5 divided by 100 equals 0.7275. So let's have a go at converting these. So we know that 25% as a decimal would be 0.25. Good. We now know that we move the decimal along, so that B would be 0.125. Good. And C would be 0.9. So let's look at the challenge questions. In order for numbers below from the smallest, order the numbers below from the smallest to the largest. So to be able to order the numbers, we need to be able to either put them into fractions, decimals, or percentages. The easiest thing to do would make them all decimals. Okay, so let's have a look. So half would be to decimal, would be 0.5, which is then 20%. A third would be 0.33, so that's 30%. 7/8 would be 0.875 and 0.70. We can now put the decimals in order from the smallest to the largest, can't we? So it would then go 0.07, 0.2, 0.3, 0.333, 0.45, 0.5, 0.78, and 0.875. Finally, we need to convert the decimals back to their original numbers. So now we've got 20%, 30%, 0.45, and 0.78. So aims and outcomes then for this, we must be able to recognize the equivalency of fractions, decimals, and percentages. We can convert fractions to decimals and percentages and convert decimals to percentages. And learners should be aimed to convert percentages to fractions and decimals. Learners will be assessed on their ability to understand the equivalency of fractions, decimals, and percentages. Well done. You've now completed your module on identifying and know the equivalence of between fractions, decimals, and percentages. Now practice your skills with the activities and test your progress on our knowledge check. So again, go back to here. You've got your activities and you've got your knowledge check. Wonderful. Take care, and I will see you all for the next one for percentages amounts.